Hey everyone, Joe Soto here, and now we get to talk about the 10 magic questions, how to be instantly more persuasive. One of my favorite topics, persuasion. And I'm going to teach you 10 questions. If you can make part of your dialogue, if you can make part of your everyday communication with prospects, with clients, when you're at networking events, or just when you're just meeting people for the first time, is going to make you literally 10 times more persuasive once you learn how to make this purposeful in your communication. Most people just kind of go into those environments, they go into those communication relationships, or they meet people for the first time, and they don't really have purposeful questions that they know they want to ask. And now I know that when you go there with the right intention of just wanting to find out more information, that's going to lead you to the questions you want to best ask. However, you also want to have a few questions up your sleeve, if you will, that can help you disarm people, can help you direct people's thinking, and also really all of it's to help lead people into making a decision that helps you both. Okay? So we always use this for the good. We don't use this for the bad. Some people have the wrong perception of persuasion. I'm here to invite you to open your mind up to these new 10 questions for you. Now, some of these questions you've asked before, maybe you didn't understand the power of them, and you didn't ask them deliberately, and that's what I'm going to hope to share with you today. A couple of mindsets I want you to wrap your head around. First of all, people skills trump social media skills. That's why I teach a lot of this stuff, because the number one thing I attribute most of my success to is my ability to communicate and sell, my ability to persuade and influence client prospects and create win-win situations for clients and us and for me. And I want you to understand that it's easy to outsource for all the social media stuff, and it's easy to find people who could blog or people who can post and people who can advertise, because those are skills that don't require a lot of one-to-one communication. But when you're bringing on new clients and you're getting them to pay a considerable investment in order to do business with you in hopes of a return on that investment, then you have to have good people skills. And so you always want to work on your people skills, okay? Second mindset I want you to wrap your head around is that people don't search for coaches, consultants, or agencies. They're not at a networking event hoping that an agency owner just pops up or that somebody who's a consultant in social media just happens to walk in front of them. In fact, if anything, they're kind of tired of people like that. But they are searching for answers to their problems. And if you believe that and you learn how to listen, okay, which is one of your most powerful tools, you're going to have new doors that open up for you, all right? Let's start with question number one. I encourage you to take a few notes on this if you'd like. I'm also going to have these slides available for you to download so you have these questions in front of you. So what's your plan for? All right, so that's an open-ended question you're going to ask that gets them talking. But also, I've shared this in my courses. I love to ask people, what's your current digital marketing plan look like? Right? And they just kind of look at you with like a deer in headlights. Anytime you can get somebody into a position where, it's not the first question you ask people, right? But if you ask somebody, what's your current plan look like for the rest of the year to attract new customers to your business? And you just shut up, you're kind of presupposing they should have those answers, that they should know what their plan for the rest of the year looks like to attract new clients. And if they don't have one, then the next question I'm going to give you can be very powerful for that, right? But so learn how to ask, what's your plan for whatever it is they're talking about. So if they say, we're really excited about 2019, we're going to be growing and doing this, I'll say, well, what's your plan for growth? And you get that out. Okay, so what's your plan for the marketing piece around that? Your goal is to get them to kind of admit to not knowing something that you might be able to help them with. Okay, you might ask, what's your current plan? To have a kind of a sales funnel online to attract customers who might find you or stumble upon your advertising online. And they may be like, well, geez, we don't really have a plan for that, And now that opens up doors for, you to have an additional conversation with them. If you're meeting with somebody in person who's a client prospect and you ask them, what's your plan for this? And they don't have one, you say, okay, great. Is that something that you would want some help with? If we were to green light this relationship, is that something you'd want to have some help with? And they would probably going to say, yes, we would love to have a plan. People hate to not have a plan. And people hate to be called on not having a plan, but you can do it nicely, right? Even if I just said, hey, what's your plan to attract customers digitally this year? They may say, well, that's why you're meeting with me, or that's why I'm meeting with you, or we don't have one, okay? And that's when you can say to them, would you like me to build you a plan? Or would you like me to build you a custom lead generation blueprint for free? This is the question that nobody says no to, right? I've taught this in other capacities. Maybe you've heard this question, but this is one of the 10 magic questions, which is, would you like me to build you a custom lead generation funnel map, okay, or blueprint, okay, or funnel plan or funnel strategy for you for free? Or would you like me to outline a funnel strategy for you, and I'll do that completely for free? Nobody says no to that. It's a great prospecting question. It's a great question to ask in a networking event, or if you meet someone for the first time and they're really kind of probing a little bit about what you do, and you can just say, well, what's your current plan to attract new customers? Well, we don't really have one. Say, well, let me get a little bit of information from you, and would you like me to kind of put together a kind of a blueprint snapshot or an outline for you for free? I'm happy to do that for you. They're all going to take you up on it, okay? And that gets you in the door for an appointment that can lead to a more in-depth discovery meeting. You can also ask this in your discovery meeting, and that opens the door to make sure you have a follow-up presentation and proposal meeting with them. So, Jim, I really like everything we discussed here. I think I have enough information to go back and maybe come up with a couple of solutions. But in the meantime, for our next meeting, would you like me to build you a marketing plan, kind of a blueprint of what I would think would be your online funnel strategy for free? Would you like me to do that and show that to you the next time we meet? They're all going to say yes. So it's a magic question. All right, number 3, this is a question that elicits values. It actually can work with the previous 2, or it can work completely separate. So that's the hardest part about doing these questions, is some people think they all go together, but they can be asked at very different times. So anytime someone expresses something that's important to them, anytime somebody brings up a value, something that they treasure or they think highly of, or that is important to them, like let's say, for example, they say, well, we want to make sure that people end up on this page of our website. Okay, and I might say, well, what's the most important to you about that? Why is that so important? And just find out, because that's going to tell you what they value and what's important to them. I may say, what's important to you about having a new agency relationship with someone you can trust, and gesture to yourself so you anchor that to you. A little NLP for you. And they may say, well, what's important to us about working with an agency is, and it's a great question to ask because it gives you their values, it gives you their criteria. And you can dig a little deeper to find more deeper values with that. Because somebody may say, what's important to you about working with an agency that you can trust? And they say, well, what's important is that we can measure success along the way. And I may say, okay, well, what's important to you about being able to measure success along the way? And I'll dig a little deeper sometimes. And they may say, well, we want to know if it's working. I say, okay, so it's important to you to know that it's working and that you can measure. So if I could show you some ways that we measure success, and I can show you that we will send you a report on a weekly basis, that would give you some of that assurance, wouldn't it? And they're going to say yes, okay? But you don't know what to pitch or present or propose if you don't know what's important to them. And you don't know what they're... This is also a great hiring question, by the way. I love to ask new employees and candidates this. What's important to you about a new career? What's important to you about having a job with a company like ours? What's important to you about social media management work? And find out why they value it. Okay, and what it is that they're evaluating that's important to them in making a decision. Same with your clients. What's important to you about a marketing agency, or what's important to you about a consulting relationship, or what's important to you about achieving your goals? Tell me a little bit more about why that's so important. If somebody focuses on, well, we really want to grow to $100 million, we really want to grow to $10 million, whatever they say. Okay. Why is it so important to you, and what is it about it that makes it important for you to get to 100 million? And then they may say, well, if we do that, then I might be able to hire in some new people, I might be able to delegate, I might be able to free up my time. And now you know that their value is freed up time. Their value is delegation, not getting to 100 million. These surface level things that people say are important to them are typically not it. That's why I want you to listen for what customers and clients say is important to them. Or in a networking event, maybe you're talking with somebody and they say, wow, I really want to learn how to use digital marketing for my business. And I'll say, well, what's important to you about learning how to use digital marketing for your business? Like, why is that even important? And they may say, well, that's going to help us attract new customers. Well, what's that going to do for you if you're able to attract new customers? Like, what's that really going to do for the business? They may say, well, that's going to allow us with that new revenue, to be able to do a few other things that we couldn't do. And say, well, like what? And you find out, and you say, okay, well, so if you were able to do those things, what would that do for you? What would be important to you about that? And they say, now they're going to start learning about their values. Now you're going to start, because you dig deep and you start getting the values out of people. Okay? Wow, we're only on question 4. Question 4, what makes you say or believe that? This is one of my favorite questions to overcome an objection. Take a water break, talking pretty fast. Write this down as, this is a great one for overcoming objections, okay? When someone says, well, I want to think it over, I'll say, what makes you say that? Or if somebody says, well, I know this takes a lot of time, I may say, what makes you believe that? What this does is it loosens up belief, and it also it's you taking control and putting it back on them to give you like a real reason, a real objection. Like why are they really saying that? Like what's motivating them to say, I want to think it over? Because it's typically lack of trust. That's the number one reason. Or something they're unsure about, okay? Think of it like this. And sometimes I say this to a client, but think of it like this. If your client prospect was absolutely sure that you could help them, why would they ever give you an objection, right? Okay, so you have to figure out what the real objection is when they're trying to stall or they're trying to maybe, or lie. A lot of clients lie. So they may say, well, we want to think this over. I may say, well, what makes you say that? Or what makes you want to do that? Or why do you believe that you should think this over? And I'll find out. I'll say it nicely. If you have rapport with them, you can get away with this a lot easier. But it's usually towards the end of the meetings, and or somebody may say, here's another way to do it. Okay, somebody may say, well, we don't believe Facebook advertising works to get results for local businesses. And I may say, what makes you believe that? First of all, that calls it out that it's a belief. And I want to know what experience led them to believe that. Because if I can learn about that situation or that story they have, then I can break it up. And they may say, well, we tried it for 3 months. We got 0 results out of it. I'll say, okay, so you would give somebody the advice that if they tried something for 3 months that didn't work, to never try a different way or with a different group or with a different strategy. You would just tell them to nix it and not do it. And they're going to say, well, no. I say, okay. So now you're loosening the belief. They may say, well, I don't think this concept of an online marketing system is going to make that much of a difference for our business. Okay. What makes you say that? Because it's usually just like some sort of belief about something they're still confused about. And you just need to get that out of them. It's a really powerful question. And so one of the best things to ask somebody to overcome an objection, whatever that objection is, just ask them, what makes you say that? I'm just kidding. If you want to soften it, some of you are like, oh, that sounds too harsh, Joe, to say this. Here's a softener for you. This is actually called a verbal softener. You can say things like, well, Jim, I'm curious. What makes you say that? See how it softens the blow with it? Okay. Or you can say, I'm wondering. That's another softening statement. Or I'm curious, right? So I may say, Jim, I'm just curious, and what makes you believe that? And then now I'm inquiring softly, not being harsh. If some of you have a hard time with being more direct and bold. All right. Question number 5. There are 2 types of people. Which are you? I love this question. All right. So, some ways that you might say it. Okay. I may say, well, first of all, let me understand why you asked this question. The power of this question is that it helps people make up their minds. It helps them make a decision. Okay. And commit. All right. And it's a great pre-frame. So I may, especially if they are whining or complaining about certain things, or you can kind of hear their angst or their the way they're torn. So I may say there's 2 types of people, Jim, and there's those who leave their personal financial success in the hands of their employees, and those who take full responsibility and build their own future. Which are you? Okay, so now it's like no one's going to say they're going to leave their financial success in the hands of their employees. This is an especially good question to ask when someone says they have somebody in their team that could probably figure this out, who maybe hasn't yet, okay? I also could say, Mary, there's two types of people that I found: those who judge something before they've really ever tried it or seen it work for them, and those who are prepared to try something and base their opinion on their own experience with it. Which type of person are you? Now, they're all going to say that they're going to try something new and they're not closed-minded. You can also say there's two types of people. There's people that are kind of closed-minded to new ideas and people that are open to suggestions, ideas, and new paths to new revenue. Which type of person would you say you are? They're not going to say they're the closed-minded person, right? So, really powerful question. I want you to get used to asking. Okay, number 6. How would you feel if? Okay, this is one of those questions you can ask to access their motivations. Okay, and to leverage their the personal financial gains, and also mention and bring up things that they want to avoid. And now people are more motivated, according to research, to avoid things than they are for personal gains. So that's why in the sales process, particularly the one that I teach, you do want to extract some of the pain and some of the challenges and make that real for them, and also talk a little about the consequences. This helps them identify what the consequences of not making a good decision. People are afraid, but people are more compelled to take action when they feel like the alternative is something they want to avoid. Okay? So you might say, how would you feel if your competition that you mentioned to me were to kind of pass you by in the marketplace? And I just shut up when I ask that. Make them answer it. Okay? Every one of these questions, the caveat is you got to be quiet after you ask it. Just shut up. And silence is your friend. Let them answer it. Okay? How would you feel, if things didn't change over the next 12 months? And they may be like, oh my gosh, that'd be a disaster. Just let them pour that out, okay? You can also throw in some moving toward motivation, right? People are motivated to move towards pleasure, away from pain. You've heard this. This is kind of Tony Robbins, but it's really NLP. He learned this from. And another way you can do it to get people to see a future is you say, how would you feel if this decision to work with us was what you really needed to level up and get to that next level that you want to go to in terms of new revenue in 2019? How would you feel if that happened? They'll access their feelings, which is what you want, right? Or maybe you can just say, how would you feel if you turned this all around, if it's a company that was struggling? Maybe it's somebody who says, well, we're growing right now, but we think we can accelerate that more. We think we can get our ads to be working better for us. We think we can have a better conversion. So I may say, okay, how would you feel if we were able to put a system in place that got you more conversion on your ads, therefore giving you more return? Well, that would be fantastic. It would be awesome. Say, we agree. That's why we're here. Now you're linking those positive emotions to you. And you can say, well, how would you feel if you didn't change anything and the ads kept getting more expensive and the conversions kept going down? Now you got the pain part. All right, so it's a powerful question. I want to encourage you to make it part of your repertoire, okay? Number 7, one of my favorite questions. This is a question I ask probably every single day in some context or another. I'll say, I even use this with my children. I'll say, and this is anytime you're introducing a new idea, you want to start with this type of question, right? So you may say, like, this could be great at a networking event too. How open-minded would you be to seeing a strategy for how an online marketing system might work for your business? Well, I would love to see something like that. How open-minded would you be? And you can combine this with the blueprint plan question. How open-minded would you be to us creating kind of an online blueprint for your business for free? No one likes to admit to being closed-minded. So everyone always says yes, they're open-minded to whatever follows, right? Okay, this naturally attracts people to what it is that you want them to support, what it is that you want them to agree to, okay? How open-minded would you be about seeing if we could work together, okay? How open-minded are you about increasing your monthly revenue, right? Well, of course, that's exactly what we want. Okay, great. How open-minded would you be to seeing some strategies around that? Okay, I'm not going to say how open-minded are you 10 times to a client. I'm giving you guys suggestions for how you would include it once in a while. But I will use it once or twice in probably every conversation, especially when I'm about to transition from a discovery meeting with somebody where I've asked questions, I've gathered information, I have what I need to maybe propose a solution, at least go back to my office and sit with my team and come up with some ideas and solutions. So I'll ask them, how open-minded would you be for us to take this information back to our office, come back to you with some options and some potential solutions so you can kind of decide what path you might want to go down. Well, we'll be very open-minded to that. Great. That's how powerful it is, okay? How open-minded would you be? And here's a closing question where you can tie this in. How open-minded would you be to giving this a chance for your business? Wow, we'd be pretty open-minded to that. Now, that's exactly what you want to hear. How open-minded would you be to trying this out as an alternative to what's not really been working that well for you, as you've expressed? You know, okay, it's a powerful question, guys. Number 7. All right, number 8. What do you know about? Okay, how often have you met with a prospect or anybody in business, or really friends and family even, who are kind of the know-it-alls? Thanks for letting me get a quick drink of water. Okay, how often have you found yourself in a conversation that kind of quickly becomes a debate because you're speaking to someone who thinks they know best? Right? All right. This question helps you gain new control over the conversation. It helps you diffuse another person's self-confidence in that they know best. It helps them It helps move this person you're talking to from a position of certainty to a position of doubt. That opens it up for you, okay? So it's a soft way to question their knowledge. Now, some of you have asked people this question. You just didn't know how targeted and powerful it could be when used the right way at the right time. So, for example, I might be meeting with somebody in a networking event, might be meeting with a new client prospect, might be meeting with somebody during the close of presentation. But usually it's going to be early stage relation. I might say, what do you know about creating an online automated marketing system? And they may say, I don't know anything about that. What do you know about creating email automation that can drive new results or new sales back to your business if the right sequencing is in place? I don't know much about that, okay? Or what do you know about Facebook retargeting? I don't really know. What do you know about Google, YouTube, and Facebook retargeting? I don't know anything. What do you know about remarketing to people on the internet? Now, what happens is that when people say I don't know, or I'm not too sure much, I don't know much about that, that immediately puts them on they don't know everything, and puts you in the position of authority, trusted advisor, expert on the subject you're talking about, because you're calling them out on what they don't know about without calling them out on it. And you don't say it like this. Hey, Jim, well, what do you know about Facebook retargeting? You don't say it like that. You just say, Jim, I'm curious as we get into talking a little bit more about your digital strategy. What do you guys currently know or about Facebook retargeting strategies? And then it's going to look at you and go, well, we have a pixel on our website. That's about all we have. Or nothing. They don't know anything. Right? What do you know about conversion optimization on a website or a landing page to get the most out of your ads? And they're going to say, I don't know anything about that. Very powerful question. If you're watching this, do you see how this question is lethal? And the most important reason why you ask it is it moves somebody from certainty to doubt, especially if they act like they're a know-it-all, or they just start saying things like, well, we've tried Facebook advertising, and it hasn't worked, and we've done some things, we put a pixel on our website. Say, well, what do you know about effective Facebook retargeting strategies, and how have you implemented that in your business? Well, we haven't, I don't know. And this is really also powerful when you have somebody from a company, from their team there with the decision maker, and the team member doesn't even know this. And now, but you gotta be graceful in that situation, because you can always just say, well, I'll work with them on it, I'll help them. Because you don't want to be an adversary or an enemy to the team member, but it lets the decision maker know you know more than both of them. Very powerful, okay? That's number 8. Number 9, when would be a good time? This question, the reason why it works is that it's a powerful presupposition. So you can say, when would be a good time for us to sit down and have a cup of coffee and talk a little bit more about how we can help each other in business? Good, great networking question, right? Let's say I'm at a networking event. When would be a good time for us to sit down and I can kind of outline and show you a blueprint about how we work with clients to increase their revenues with digital marketing? When would be a good time? Now, my favorite time to ask this question is transitioning from the discovery meeting to my next meeting I have to have in the books with them scheduled to present and propose solutions and close them. Usually the sales process is a two call close. So at the end, I'll say, this has been great information. I'm excited to go back and put together some of these options. Would you be open-minded to some of the solutions we might be able to put together for you and outline for you? They're going to say yes. There's your open-minded question. So, okay, great. When would be a good time next week, say Wednesday or Thursday, for us to get back together? And that it's what it does is it presupposes there is a good time, and you're just asking when is that good time. The power of presupposition. If you learn how to presuppose things, it's another word for assume, but it's really a presupposition. I'm presupposing there's going to be a good time, and I ask it that confidently. So very powerful question, very simple, but you want to make sure you use. So I'll use this to get appointments. I'll use this to get my second appointment with them. I'll use it to talk about getting started. When would be a good time for you to get started on this project? Okay. Now, if you want to get really persuasive, you can say, when would be a good time now to get started with this type of project? Okay. That's an embedded command and also something you hear Tony Robbins do a lot. Okay. Now, here's question number 10. This is the question for how you get referrals. Okay. I teach this, and then I get, it's like people forget I talked about it. But this is a question I ask almost every single day in one conversation or another I have. If I am on talking, and I'm not talking to people every single day, but on the days I'm talking to people, this question almost always comes out. So I may just say, who else should I be talking to? Hey, Jim, I'm just curious. There's your softener. Who else should I be talking to? This helps you get referrals, okay? Someone's talking to you at a networking event, and they say, man, this seems really good what you got going on, but maybe they're not my ideal client. They have a small $200,000 accounting business. They're just getting started, but they know people. So I may say, you know what, Jim, based on what we kind of know about each other, who else should I be talking to? And they'll people, when you say that, it presupposes that they know somebody else you should be talking to. Another powerful presupposition. And you're just saying, who else? And they may say, well, you really need to be talking to Jim. He's got a $5 million construction business, and he's struggling to get, new clients or whatever. Or he's got a company that's growing right now, and he does luxury landscaping. And he's really growing, and I think he wants to get it to the next level. He's doing lots of advertising. Okay, great, thank you. There are some follow-up questions to this, like, would you mind doing me a small favor? People love to do small favors for people. Would you mind making a quick email introduction or shooting him a text, and I might be giving him a call? The good news is that makes it a warm referral follow-up, no matter what. Even if they don't call them, it's still warm, because you can say, I was talking with Jim over at the Michigan Cocktail Hour, and he told me that when I asked him who else I should be talking to, he mentioned your name and thought it would be beneficial for us to have a conversation. So it's a powerful question. It's the most powerful question to get a referral. So if you're watching this, and I said to you, how would you like the most effective way to get somebody else to give you a referral, is to ask this question. If you meet with a new client and they say, no, this isn't for me, it's not going to work out, and you know that it's not, you're not going to go any further, just say, okay, Jim, this is a great way to let them have an out. And people are when people tell you no, it's uncomfortable to them. And when they do tell you no, they're eager to help you if they could in some way, but they just can't do business with you. So you can say, I really appreciate our time together. I can tell, this isn't going to be a good fit right now. Maybe the timing's off. But who else should I be talking to that you know of? They always think of a name. I mean, it's like 95% of the time, unless they're real busy and they got to go. And you can write that name down, and then you can ask them for the small favor of helping to follow up with them, and you'll let them know you're going to be contacting them. So it's a magic question because it gets you a referral, okay? And you want to get referrals. Your business, you should be getting referrals, okay? All right, let's keep going. Last point I want to make. Remember to listen and ask questions on purpose. See, one of the number one things I can give to you is this serving mindset that you really just want to listen and you want to ask questions on purpose and you really want to know what their answers are. Okay? And you want to listen for that. Don't just have an agenda of what you're going to say to people. Your agenda stops at, I know what questions I'm going to ask of people. You're not going to have an agenda of what you want out of it. Okay? You don't know if this is the right person to do a business with you. You're there to find that out. But you want to give yourself the best chance and percentage to win, as long as it creates a win-win for that client. So remember to listen and to ask questions, the magic questions, on purpose. And I hope this helps you take your own persuasion to the next level. Thanks.